Check. Hey. Yeah. 1, 2 fella for moving in slow-mo. I'm a guy but I actually don't know. When we better put the pride aside. I'm a Benzine on like a Volvo. Yo, best stuff looks like my words. Sitting out to fire and birds. Got the whole crew with me, but it don't damage. You know we ain't asked. I ain't gonna say this again, but this is my time. Better look in my eyes. I'm chilling to the skies in my heart. I don't see. Fall to a blind to keep this prime. Everybody got a line. Sit back while the stars align. I'm finesse my life from the line. Was a diamond in the rough and now I shine.
No one can stop us, they'll try, but they won't. Nada nos puede parar. Oh no, we're wide awake now. Our eyes are wide open. We're running this world. We're keeping it turning. We're living like giants. Yeah, giants. We're bigger than giants. We're giants. Oh, sleeping giants. Sleeping giants. Shutting it down. Been on the ground, my people all up in this place. Spinning this thing, go down my brain. Royalty up in my veins. I'm no clothing, I'm so cold. I see something, ain't no going back. Now they ask what Kiki said. I'm like, you can't hang with that. 쏟아져 빛이 멀게 내 눈이 멈추지 않아. Once we go, like it up on. 나는 모두 내 빨리 달려. 넌 못 따라와. 술을 대면 숨을 도해. 술을 대면 보여줄게. 뭐든 쉽게. 이기든 지든. Like who make the beat drop. No one can stop us, they'll try, but they won't. Nada nos puede parar. Oh no, we're wide awake now. Our eyes are wide open. We're running this world. We're keeping it turning. We're living like giants. Yeah, giants. We're bigger than giants. We're giants. You thought that we were weak, but we're coming right back. This time you're gonna see how we do it like that. We're living like giants. Yeah, giants. We're bigger than giants. We're giants. Oh, sleeping giants. Sleeping giants.
I keep on shadowing time. I might just leave you behind. Don't mean you stuck on my wine. You should go sleep on mine. Wait, you got your back up recline. When I damage your delicate spine, please don't act out, shine surprise. They be like, what you mean? What is your winning scheme? I got a giant team. Big as my self-esteem. Running back, running man. They need to go hard, I'm like, come again. You running the top while I'm busting in. When you stumble, I got this pain in my head for your punishment.
We're wide awake now. Our eyes are wide open. We're running this world. We're keeping it turning. We're living like giants. Yeah, giants. We're bigger than giants. We're giants. You thought that we were weak, but we're coming right back. This time you're gonna see how we do it like that. We're living like giants. Yeah, giants. We're bigger than giants. We're giants. Oh, sleeping giants. Sleeping giants. What are you willing to lose? You cover your wounds, but underneath them a million voices in your head that whisper, stop now. Another twist of the knife, a turn of the screws. It's all in your mind and it's fighting you. Arm yourself, the storm is coming. Well, kid, what you gonna do now? It's your reflection looking back to pull you down. So are you gonna die today or make it out alive? You gotta conquer the monster in your head and then you'll fly, fly, Phoenix fly. It's time for a new empire. We'll bury your demons and tear down the ceiling. Phoenix fly. And now you're playing with matches. Come out of the ashes underneath you. A million voices in the crowd. They're screaming, stop now. Well, let them swallow the pride. You're turning the tide to true believers. Got them in the palm of your hand. You're playing. What you gonna do now? It's your reflection looking back to pulling down. So are you gonna die today or make it out alive? You gotta conquer the monster in your head and then you'll fly, fly, Phoenix fly. It's time for a new empire. We'll bury your demons and tear down the ceiling. Phoenix fly. So are you gonna die today or make it out alive? You gotta conquer the monster in your head and then you'll fly, fly, Phoenix fly. It's time for a new empire. We'll bury your demons, then tear down the ceiling. Phoenix. So are you gonna die today or make it out alive? You gotta conquer the monster in your head and then you'll fly, fly, Phoenix fly. It's time for a new empire. We'll bury your demons and tear down the ceiling. Phoenix fly.
Bonjour Paris! Voici venu le moment d'accueillir vos deux finalistes des championnats du monde de League of Legends! La première équipe, ils viennent pour offrir coup sur coup le titre de champion du monde à la Chine. Ils sont les vainqueurs de la finale du Summer Split de la LPL, FunPlus Phoenix. Sur la top lane, le rock de la LPL, G2. Il est l'empereur de la jungle, Tian. Sur la mid lane, le super carry, élu 2 fois MVP de sa ligue, deuxième. Sur la bot lane, il est la terreur des teamfights, LWX. En support, le prodige MVP de la finale de la LPL, Crisp. Et ainsi que leur remplaçant, Chenille, et leur coach, Warhorse.
De l'autre côté de l'arène, vos doubles champions d'Europe en 2019, vainqueurs du Mid-Season Invitational, ils sont en marche vers le Grand Chelem, G2 Esports. En premier, élu 4 fois meilleur joueur sur sa lane, dans la jungle, il est votre MVP du Summer Split, Yanko. Sur la mid lane, il est le premier joueur européen à accéder coup sur coup à la finale des championnats du monde. Il a fait de la bot lane son royaume. Bert! À ses côtés, le meilleur support européen de l'année, Mickey X. Leur remplaçant, le porte-bonheur des G2 Esports, Q, ainsi que leur coach, Grabs. Une fois de plus, je vous demande de célébrer vos deux finalistes, FunPlus Phoenix et G2 Esports. Que la finale des championnats du monde 2019 de League of Legends commence.
Even the jungler, Kobe, and this is a champion pick that will be reverberated around the world. Paris losing their mind.
And I said attack damage, Papa Smith.
You're right.
That is attack damage for you. Looks like at the last second, you have to wait till 20 seconds actually for the last swap to come through, but it could be either of the solo laners here.
Expecting it to be a mid lane choice as Rise beats Gangplank. Waiting for it. We get the confirmation. Will be Pyke mid lane against Nautilus.
FunPlus Phoenix versus G2 Esports. The team compositions are locked in. Caps is running it in the mid lane.
In game number 1.
Now, we have to go over some of the unique things about Pyke because it was even nerfed since G2 last used it in a prolific manner among all these lanes. The AoE is much less so. This Pyke is not about winning lane, by the way. This is about the roam game. Caps and Duenby setting up teammates, sharing gold, and creating plays.
And the crazy thing is, even though it's been dominant, the Nautilus is too.
Resolved. We are back on Summoner's Rift for the 2019 World Final. Kobe and Papa Smithy, thank you so much for setting up those expectations on both team comps. Papa, can I ask for a quick refresher? Because it was about 5 minutes ago that we last heard it from the team.
Absolutely. With FPX, it is very much a mid to late game team fight comp, but it's at the price of early laning phase. I think there's a lot of inroads that can be made in top and bot lane here for G2. As Kingoon finds Wonder, Tian backing him up.
Okay, Sonic Wave will find him down. Flash is available. He's not going to be able to get away just yet. They're not needed. And it should take some damage. Looking at the minimap, no responses yet.
Now, it's incredibly important to look at the aftermath of this invade. It is a split map here. FPX trying to invade on the top side and take away red buff here. G2 doing the same on bottom side. Defensive vision has been in place.
Very often that we'll see FPX go for these lane splitting strategies at the cost of their bot lane, but with Sivir Thresh, you weren't expecting lane dominance anyway, so they seem to be wanting to give breathing room to the Gangplank. Rise can't take aggressive trades with no jungler top side.
It's exactly as we mentioned in Champion Select. The Gangplank is very vulnerable to dives early on. Rise can use the range advantage and go for that, but bottom side of the map, FPX are trying to defend against the even split map. Usually you'll have red traded for red side, but Crisp denies the Krug camp, the one with the most experience and gold on it in the entire map.
Actually, in the G2 Griffin series in groups, saw how a delay in scenarios like this can have huge cascading effects on lanes as the jungler isn't there at level 3 at the same time. Back in bot lane, LWX and Crisp just being super respectful as Doinby's already walking.
While they're being respectful in game, Perks was not too respectful out of game. Duenby won't even be the second best mid in the final. Carlos reiterated that, but if you look at the minimap, Duenby has already roamed very early on. I'm looking at the minions, Kobe, and Wonder's still under pressure. Tian's one nearby, but Duenby's gone back to lane.
It's really worth highlighting how top laners play when they do not have pressure, when their jungler is the opposite side of the map.
Wonder, he didn't go forward for the chase. Tian is still nearby.
And it's highlighted because Wonder knows that this is a split map and it's a possible dive being set up. Also, as you can see on the mini-map, Dornby has started to move.
All right, Tian has pulled the wave. He's got himself the red buff. There's the overload. Teleport starting to come in. This is a 3 versus 1. Wonder's got mana. He's got flash, but it's a reply already. There's the route down. Wonder gives up first blood to FPX. Caps gets a stun under the tower. Dornby still doesn't go down. Now Caps is in trouble. FunPlus Phoenix are looking for the double. Caps is trying to swim to safety. Teleport begins to channel in the top lane. Wonder joins, but FPX are on the ball.
And 2 things to look in the aftermath. The teleport's both used there, but the big minion wave also forces Wonder to teleport back. You can see Caps actually now rotating around for a possible answer here.
Looking to interrupt it back if he can, but for now it will be a blue buff steal. Potential 3 buff here for Yank.
I really want to highlight how Dornby had started to roam up and walk his way there, but because they needed the extra second, starts teleporting on the minion under tower, even though he had made it halfway up the map. As you can see now, he's almost there already, but they know that because Caps is going to answer, they need the extra second, flashes in, then you can have the W from Tian to guarantee the execute damage there. Just really nicely coordinated here by FPX.
But a very extended setup. That's the FPX way. They don't mind to surround you, put up the spears and say, you're in trouble, just give me a second to fully set this up. G2 are usually more instant about their plays, but this time wasn't in position the Elise to punish. It's to the profit of an extra blue buff.
All right, Caps takes a little bit of damage, and Dornby the first one to move. Now Wonder, flash the Sonic Wave into Resonating Strike. He's trying to escape. He's going down. Yankos arrives. It's too little. It's too late. And the top difference from pressure is fantastic for FPX.
And it's a different look. They haven't gone mid lane to try to work with the Nautilus. It's been Tian setting up a camp. He's back again.
He absolutely is. Remember we said FPX are great at diving bot. Now they're showing us they're great at diving top. Yankos is caught out and he's going to get squashed like a bug underneath FPX's boot, because what goes up must come down, but the flash gets him to safety. Yankos with the quick fingers. I was convinced he was dead, and he survives for now.
And look at the pace that FPX are setting here. They're not letting G2 reset from the loss of pressure that they've accrued on top side. They keep chaining play after play into G2's weakness. This is something that both of these teams have been so good at once they get an early lead, and FPX mining that top side advantage so heavily.
And it means that the kill involvements for GP puts them in basically parity, maybe a small lead. Over the rise here, trades are still going to be very one-sided to Wonder, but it's definitely been a lot of top lane focus from the split map level 1 on the side of FPX.
I like the attitude from FPX. They're not trying to defend where they are weak. They are attacking G2 to force them to change their game plan.
Wonder is putting so much pressure individually here onto Gimgoon, despite 0-2-0. Yankos waiting in the wings as a potential dive. The overload comes out after the Rune Prison as well. That's a lot of minions denied. Plus 10 CS for now, and as it stands, even on levels. Yankos is looking for the cocoon into the bush and he won't find it. So G2 will be content with pushing back the pressure. They are still down 700 gold, but Papa Smithy, they concede the Drake. So great heads-up play from FPX.
Both teams kind of ahead of plays here. Good map read from Gimgoon. That is definitely his trademark, often playing on the weak side. Hasn't been that way so far this game, but they're reading the change in tempo, the way the wind is blowing. When it comes to the aggression, they'll take the Drake at Crisp.
Oh, Death Sentence comes down, as does the Boomerang Blade. Mickey's waiting by with the Devour. Piercing arrow tags. Chris, I'm keeping my eyes on Tian to see if he wants to go under the tower. Flashes available for both bot laners on G2 sides.
Yeah, I mean, one of the nerfs to Tahm Kench was the cooldown on the Devour there, so it does open up a bigger window early game. But as you can see, we're highlighting now back to Champion Select, where we talk about the Varus and Tahm Kench synergy, you know, shoring up that weakness of the Varus. If you get caught like that, can come through and save a disastrous play.
We're still waiting on the FPX standard playbook, which can still be re-entered this game. It's usually boots of mobility first back from lane for Crisp, where we do see that trio mid lane. Might be a duo because Tian's level 6.
Exactly. You have to keep tracking the junglers. This game is so much about playing where you have the numbers advantage. And the one that moves first is able to open up that opportunity of chaining across the map.
Let's take a look at how they can chain things across the map on the G2 side, because Papa Smithy, if you remember back at MSI, G2 started to fall behind SKT, and it was the Pyke mid-game plays that brought them back into it. Right now, Caps is not activated. The first one to leave mid is Doinby. Again, with that superior push, he's come up with the help of Tian, and this plate's being taken down.
And we're seeing the exact opposite play here. It is push up through a big minion wave. Seeing that, Wonder backs off. There's a roam up through the jungle from both Doinby as well as Tian. That means G2 know on the bottom side, yes, they did lose a minion wave on top side, but they're going to try and deny that same minion wave on bottom.
And you notice Perkz actually has a back timing here rather than trying to cash in plates. So plate gold is certainly not going to be equalized. I actually don't want the minions to push down this plate, otherwise Perkz will not get involvement. All the gold goes to the Tahm Kench, and he backs now.
This game is really highlighting that ebb and flow of pressure. Once again, the flow now on the side of FPX if they have overloaded top side.
I was a huge fan of some of the missing pings there from G2, Kobe. You talked about overloading topside. G2 aware of it. Missing pings as Tian was sitting in the tri-bush. Doinby could have roamed. Doinby, by the way, plus 15 CS. Moby boots just completed, so I'm expecting more running to the side lanes.
And that's when you start clicking your fingers, because you should mention that with the Tiamat, Pyke can actually push out, doesn't just fall into a huge CS hole like it has been so far, about 20 CS, and match, because the Nautilus having the ability to the earlier roam on the Moby Boots rush means that Predator Pyke has actually been caught farming in mid lane a lot.
Yeah, this is so exciting to me because we're seeing the peak of fluid League of Legends where it's all in on roaming around. You know, first couple of item purchases for Caps do highlight that strategy. Now bottom, will they go for the dive on Perkz? There's no Tahm Kench.
There's no Tahm Kench right now. Perkz has done some work to clear the minion wave out. I think the piercing arrow did its job. He held on to the hail of arrows. Dredgeline will catch out Mickey. Blast Cone sends Doinby away. Now all of a sudden, how did Tian go down? I didn't even see it happen. G2 on the ball.
FPX disconnected there, trying to make plays in two areas while the Nautilus was taken. Speaking of Nautilus.
All right, the Cocoon lands onto the target. Abyssal Voyage is going to be cancelled. Mickey was looking for the dive. Need to catch a quick glimpse on how Tian was caught out, and so crucially for G2, it's Perkz that picks it up.
Yeah, beautiful chain of corruption there from Perkz to lock him down. That was a big difference in power too, because it was completed jungle item for Tian, while only pieces for Jankos, and Perkz makes a big play for G2.
All right, we need to find the Cocoon from Jankos. Crisp is aware of the situation, and he plays the defensive Thresh, more than a screen away, throwing down that lantern to safety. Gimgoon takes a good trade in favor of Wonder, and now all of a sudden Tian again present on the map. He has been everywhere this game.
Yep, looks like he's headed top again with Doinby here as they push mid and look for another opportunity. Here you go, Trevor, asking you shall receive. Perkz able to land the corrupting chains right on the Gromp, and then of course Caps is there to ensure that they get it.
And this is a tendency that I'm sure G2's coaching staff have noted. It is that when they go for these plays, when they threaten the dives, they tend to stay around for a long time and check a second time, a third time. They're definitely the sort to check the weather report multiple times before planning an outing. This time caught a little bit there, and that pick does reset some of the good work by FPX.
All right, Jankos waiting in the bushes here. The gold is just about even, 300 the difference. Jankos will get caught out. The Cocoon into the tongue lash, but he's caught by the dredge line. Crisp goes in with a death sentence. There's the ignite thrown down. Cannon Barrage comes out as well to do the ultimate. What goes up must go down. There goes Cap. Death from below gets interrupted. That was a fantastic stopwatch. FPX escape. We are going to have some of the best team fights this planet and game has ever seen, as both of these teams are trading blow for blow.
A lot of tools used by both teams, we have to remember, so very opportunistic for Tian to start up the Rift Herald. That's not going to be a goer for now, and FPX back off.
Yeah, that was very close to death for Chris. You mentioned quick shot, the stopwatch they had to use, and then immediately he had to flash coming out of it because Perkz almost timed a Q from Varus to be able to finish him off afterwards. Now, though, as you're talking about, full resets are coming out.
Oh, look at the minimap. 1, 2, 3 members, if I count correctly, in the top lane for FPX. G2 Esports are pushing forward. Tian is still snuck in the bush. He's got the Dragon's Rage available. If Perkz continues to step forward, and he does, he's caught by the Dragon's Rage. The kick throws him under the tower, and LWX picks up the kill. It's not done yet. Tian goes for the Cocoon from Jankos. May have just saved Mickey's life. Doinby continues to chase. He dredge lines a little spiraling, and now all of a sudden Caps is waiting in the wings. Level 9 to level 9. Now he's gonna get spotted out here as he steps forward. Now all of a sudden Jankos is the one caught by the Q. Those spiderlings doing some work for Doinby. Bone Skewer pulls him backwards, but I don't think there's enough damage just yet. FPX, 1,000 gold up, 3 kills to 1, and they reclaim the lead.
Tien here is the highlight. Getting credit here for the brush attempt from him. Chris actually able to land the hook and set the whole thing up, but because Tien is there, he safeguards in. Dragon kick back, getting the kill, and also chasing down the rest of G2 members, thus not letting them get the play on the map. Here we go, they're all headed mid.
Oh, very cheeky play from Caps, waits for the mini wave to go down, but he's already caught up, flashes away to safety. The Riptide from Doinby! You don't need to see him when you've got AoE! Now Mickey continues to chase forward, Realm Warp from Wonder, dredge line to safety, but you can't get away from the Rise Q. Jankos goes up and goes down. Perkz has rejoined the fray. G2 get their second kill of the game, and they will get some chip damage onto this mid outer turret. Keep your eyes on the minimap. Gimgoon is uncontested in the bot lane and pushing forwards.
And always a jump scare around every corner in this game. Always the backup. The grouping phase started about 8 minutes into game number 1. Man, the darkness in this game, you don't need a Nocturne for it to be just so scary.
You have to consistently move your eyes towards the next objective. Chris right now is setting up the vision game for the setup here on Ocean Drake. FPX are on attack once again.
Take a look at the CS differences, by the way. 123 in the mid lane for Doinby. That superior push early has accrued him a 40 CS advantage. G2 will be taking the Rift Herald in the top lane, while another Dragon is secured by FPX in the bottom, and Wonder and Caps under some pressure if FPX decide to push. So Herald secured, it's still 1,000 gold game, Kobe, and the second Dragon picked up by FPX.
I like this move from G2 because they're trying to get the Rift Herald on top side in exchange for the Dragon and get some value out of the extra teleport, but Wonder now stuck under the tower, 1v4!
All right, let's see what he can do. Rune Prison into Overload, gets caught up by the death sentence, and that was just flawless from FPX. They pick up an easy kill. They'll be able to pick up the tower, but the tower first blood bonus goes to G2 Esports with the help of the Rift Herald. Keep in mind, it's still a 1,400 gold difference, Papa Smithy.
The gold in different corners, but remember, this is a very healthy Rift Tower. Could be 2 turrets here, an advantage that is going to be felt, and a GPO is drawn already.
You can see FPX trying to rotate the Sivir into mid lane to hold this wave and allow the rest of the team to push on the minimap. You cannot race with a Rift Herald. Perkz is just ushering the Rift Herald straight up to the inhibitor before FPX had even broken secondary turret.
And it's even more big than that. They've been behind this entire game, behind the skirmish, behind the 8-ball, and they are losing the turret tempo race. They're getting it slower as this Rift Herald draws a huge cheer from the Paris crowd.
Paris are loving it. It's 5 kills to 2, but make no mistake, FPX are currently in control. As we now transition into the mid-game phase where a lot of skirmishes and fights can break out, Kobe, I have to ask, FPX, you said they were a mid to late game team fight team. They have to feel happy with the lead they've generated already.
FPX are very happy right now because they have Trinity Force on Gangplank level 11 for the level 2 ultimate that can come through. So all they have to do is give that Sivir speed boost to the Nautilus Thresh and look for those 2 hooks onto G2. Now G2 has a harder deal, but they found a pick of their own!
Yeah, they absolutely have. That will be secured by Perkz. Mickey arrives just in the nick of time. Now this will give some pressure into the mid lane.
We've talked about the importance of timing, Trevor. Every pick is another 20 seconds of extra pressure, and G2 will use that to try and get half of mid turret, maybe even the full thing.
The dredge light doesn't find a target, and Doinby maybe wants to be happy. Death from below thrown out from Caps, and that's the tower lead now in favor of G2. The gold lead as well, and one simple ward, one simple pick gives G2 control of the mid lane.
And that's the thing that G2 have, regardless of gold lead, as a Bone Skewer is there just to show Doinby that Caps is around, is they have an insane pick come. If they're ever shrouded in darkness, they get those picks and they subvert team fights. Here we go.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Realm Warp's coming up, but it interrupted. That's already a kill onto Wonder. LWX threw down the ultimate. 6 kills to 3. 2 dragons up, but the gold is irrelevant right now. Gimgoon, however, will equalize the towers. And if you look at the minimap, there's a lot of wards in the northern quadrant in favor of LPX.
And look at these two teams going blow for blow. Quick shot, one pick into a turret. Answer here from FPX as soon as they see Wonder in the river. The flash, no hesitation from Crisp to answer it and get the exact same back. Now G2, power play on bottom half.
And look, there's just not much gold to separate, even though you'd love it as an FPX fan. It's only about 1,000 gold between the two teams we see where it's centered. A lot of that Rift Herald play has reset what was just a growing, snowballing lead in terms of map play and also just gold lead from the side of FPX.
Now, I'm very interested to see how these next 5 to 10 minutes play out, because when G2 Esports fell behind SKT in the semifinals, they found crucial team fights to bring themselves back into the game. I feel like at this tournament, FPX is a different beast, and it will be a more difficult challenge for G2.
Exactly. You have to play to the champions that your enemy has drafted here. And G2 have a lot to highlight because they've got Ryze for side lane, they've got the Predator boots, plus the Ghostblade 4 caps. So if they can rotate Varus over to hold the mid lane, then they start to look for those picks to get back into it.
But one of the unique things to look for the fans at home is we don't have wave clear mid laners here. They have teleport, they have hard CC. They don't want to be caught in a side lane at all. So that means we're going to see a lot more fighting, as often we'll be playing around 1 or 2 lanes maximum rather than the 3-lane fan out you often see in games like this.
And there's a very, very big difference between having your AD carry in mid lane clearing waves with the mid turret and without. Now Cap's going for a play under tower.
Oh, it takes so much damage when you miss the skill shots. You can't go for those dives, and Caps walks away with his tail between his legs.
All right, here we are, a power play on the blue buff side of the map, but there is a ward to scout it out.
All right, so FPX have got some sort of a numbers advantage. G2 sniff it out. Look, volatile spiraling. I think that just spotted out two members of G2. Crisp is now making his way forward. Teleport coming in from Wonder on the tower. The Bone Skewer catches Crisp. That's a death from below as G2 will even the goal. But what can they take?
They can start up the Drake here and stop the snowballing. G2 are so smart at sussing out these combat puzzles that often games of League of Legends in this meta turn into. The moment they got an inkling of there being members on the flank, they took them out as 5.
And once again, vision will be so important because both of these teams rely on the picks.
Chain of corruption will tag DoinB. Dredgeline pulls him to safety. The cocoon from Yankos. It will not secure the kill. It will not secure another. It's 20 minutes on the map. This is such a tense game, but G2, they continue trading blow for blow.
And I want to highlight what's not on your screen is the mini-map. Both side lanes pushing in opposite directions here for G2 as well as FPX. We mentioned these teams have a lot of similar strengths. So while the mid core of both teams are looking for the picks with the Elise, with the Varus there, with the Tom Kench, they are also trying to get the side lane pushing in their advantage to get the extra standing goal.
And I love that you pointed out with the arrow there, because the sort of thing that's lost, because people say, oh, it's a death match, oh, they're just fighting all the time, but it's the setup and the side lanes that allows it to happen. And speaking of side lane setup,
fantastic setup, Papa Smithy. Teleport comes in. FPX have still got a numbers advantage. Crisp will arrive, and Capta's in so much trouble. He's going to get taken out. Oh! The Realm Wolf from Wonder! But now they're not done just yet. All of a sudden, the Death Sentence comes out. Ignite goes down. Wonder's running for his life. Tian gets the Sonic Wave, does not follow the Resonating Strike. Caps tries to escape, goes for a swim and does so for now. G2 get up, but FPX's play to set it up managed to avoid defeat.
This is definitely a World Championship game. Quick shot, so close. The margin of error here. Caps able to just utilize the full mobility of Pyke to get into the edge of the Realm Warp as it was about to disappear. Now it's a reset as they're trying to hold lane though.
Take a look at the minimap there. A lot of members of FPX sitting in the northern quadrant as Caps catches the top lane wave. He sees FPX on top of that control ward, and now G2 looking for a hunt. Baron won't get tagged by the skewer, nor will another champion. And the volatile spiraling goes wide.
Timing is in the favor of FPX because they're the ones that have the split push going for them. They've got Gimgoon on the gangplank in the bottom lane, you can see on your mini-map. So G2 trying to force them off of Baron, but FPX gaining one extra lane of momentum.
And you look at the wards here, you can see the G2 are leaving the vision behind as they fish for picks. We're going to go to bot lane here. The flash was super necessary because the moment this Realm Warp is armed, I didn't think Caps could even get in.
Yeah, exactly. Because he got slowed down there, even with the mobility of Pyke. barely flashes to the edge. The margin there of error is so incredibly small.
Wonder's screaming, I'm helping, I'm helping! And Caps manages to make it out. He, by the way, 1, 1, and 3, just sitting on 1.5 items for now. But G2 has sneakily picked up 1,000 gold lead. I think it's going to be the least important stat in this game because setup and execution of these team fights, as we have already seen, is what's going to dictate who comes out on top.
But Trevor, I feel like the eye test, you'd be surprised by it, right? You're like, wait, it feels like FPX has been on top. Where did this gold lead come from? Those were the fundamentals that allowed them to stay competitive against SKT in the first game of the semi-final. They are so smart about always playing the side lanes and keeping competitive in CS numbers, which keeps them competitive in gold.
And remember, people should not just look at gold because there are other things. Gangplank extra gold, Pyke shares extra gold with the ultimate. Here is a setup though. What's very important is the control of that setup. Vision around Baron.
Chain of Corruption tags a target. There's no follow-up. Remember, if G2 pick a fight in the Baron Pit against Nautilus, Sivir, Gangplank, that's not really a place you want to be. Cannon Barrage is available, and Chain of Corruption was just used. So Gimgoon steps up to the plate, does not find a fight yet. But one of the things we are seeing is FPX need to find an answer. When G2 put pressure down, they are gaining a few more benefits outside of just the Dragons, but it's FPX with control of the Baron Pits.
And while these teams are very similar, there are some key differences where G2 have very good burst damage, more for single target. FPX have a lot of AoE that they can try and bring to brunt. This is what you want to do if you can funnel the enemy team into a smaller corridor where they can actually get more value there.
Another difference is the fact that Rise will just outmatch any opponent in the side lane as the scaling comes up. Another 6 minutes on the Rod of Ages to complete that. So even with some magic resist incrementally put in, they're going to have to try to force those fights and maybe overforce, as otherwise Wonder will take side lane objectives.
Love this point because if you can open up the map, Papa Smithy, one of my favorite strategies that has evolved over the years is the trailing split pusher. And Caps is on a perfect champion to play that role. If you hover behind the split pushing Rise and the opponent send 2 people, you surprise, you go for the burst kill.
We have to align on the language. I call it piggyback ganks, where you both have TP to piggyback over.
Let me
to
on!
Top lane side. Here we go.
I'm a fan of the piggyback ganks this game, and that's the 3rd dragon secured by FPX. Double Clouds is definitely going to benefit them as they want to continue to move around this map. Caps does get spotted out by an FPX ward, but important to note the synchronized recalls on the side of G2 allows them to group up on the map, push back for some control around that Baron Pit. And now we're moving into this Baron phase of the game.
And for chaotic teamfights, one thing that you should look for as a G2 fan is the fact that we have a Rage Blade build here coming through from Perks. He actually needs to warm up on a minion wave or targets before he actually gets that double hit passive and gets going in a team fight. And this is a sort of game with as many threats as there are that you actually need a certain type of terrain to fight around to get that amount of time.
And also, when you are thinking through these possible picks and these possible team fights, you actually have to opt into who is going to burn cooldowns from your opponent. Because there are so many critical ones and squishy members on the team, if you are G2, you're looking at Jankos. He's got the fully completed Zhonya's, and Elise also has Repel built in. So while not a tank, you do want the Elise to bait out some of those big cooldowns. If you repel a Nautilus ultimate, it changes the game for your team. They also have to talk about the positioning of Mickey with the rest. So continually press tab, look for these stopwatches, look for these Zhonya's completions, but also the positioning on the members with that stasis.
And when it comes to these vision wars, where someone puts down their wards, they have to back away and reset the wards and go and buy, when the enemy can then take over vision, I actually think FPX will struggle to reclaim vision against a G2 camp, because even the Lantern, control ward down, you're going to be caught going for a face check, and you already mentioned G2 have multiple ways to make them untargetable, like the Repel and like the Tahm Kench Devour.
Now, there is one thing that is always a huge benefit on the side of FPX, outside of just doing B, setting up a fantastic play. The Protobelt into the hook, and Mickey gets chunked out. While that's going on, Gimgoon almost picks up a solo kill in the bottom lane. FPX have found themselves a gigantic advantage on two sides of the map. Also important to note, rapid fire cannon picked up by LWX. The 600 CS Civil win condition is always a possibility.
Quick shot, the rewards for that pick are enormous. Mid tower, the last of the outer defenses going down for G2, make it incredibly more difficult to try and defend in the vision wars around Baron. That was deuxième using the proto belt to get into range to try and land the hook onto Mickey. What a big critical play from the star player of FPX.
And a 27-minute mid lane turret doesn't sound like a big thing, but Kobe, you're right on the money. Look at this Siege comp. They've got almost no range on the side of FPX, so they needed a pick like that to ever actually get the turret that's core to Baron defenses, that mid lane out.
All right, Gimgoon will now run into Wonder. Both of them level 15. Wonder got the first trade, but doesn't follow up with any more. And outside of just clearing out the vision, FPX weren't able to get more than the tower. It is a huge win for them. deuxième making the move that counts.
Yeah, I mean, people have criticized the champion pool for so long. You know, some people advocates and want to see deuxième on the world stage proving his style. You see proof right there in that play. This is why he plays these types of champions, to create openings for his team in this case. Now, FPX have to look to the next step for themselves. They want to use that speed advantage from Sivir Ultimate whenever it is up to enable those two champions to try and find that hook.
Caps, by the way, level 13. It's matching deuxième. Top laners have got most of the experience this game. Wonder is up 80 CS over Gimgoon and still playing that side lane. But we haven't had that huge explosive team fight. It feels like if one team is able to win it, they could either take it in Hib or a Baron and get huge control in this game.
And it's getting much more difficult now for G2 to play to their champions. Because FPX have such a good possible team fight here, Sivir, as you mentioned, quick shot, extremely good and well protected damage output for that force. It's going to be very hard for G2 to actually find that kill onto the backline and remove those AoE crits.
And that's the really important point, is that in the open, you just can't win as G2's comp. In a 5v5 where everyone opts into it, it's not going to work. But they always have that pick CC opportunity if they get a vision reset. So actually look down the middle here. Look at the scoreboard. See the control wards put together. deuxième could be caught.
All right, who's catching who, though? Because I think there's more support for FPX to respond. Caps escapes from the dredge line. We are 30 minutes into game 1 of the championship final, and truthfully, we still don't know who's going to come out on top. FPX have got Prio in the mid lane.
They do not have control wards. They don't want to face check, so again, this awkward setup.
All right, here's the potential team fight. deuxième stepping forward. Zona takes some damage from that volatile Spiderling, and with the Banshee's Veil, Wonder feels more confident to step up. A 30-minute Infernal could be very valuable. Dredge line is dodged away from as the Drake is secure, but now G2 are split. That's at least some CC to interrupt. The chain of corruption will start to spread, and it's Mickey that gets tagged. He's locked down, he's knocked up, he's dead! LWX is on a rampage. The Sivir is terrifying. There goes the teleport, the King! Tian, you beauty! Gets the double kill for FPX.
The flash to gap close, but deuxième might die here.
He might just indeed. 2 more teleports thrown down. Realm Warp's coming out, and then managed to escape. Wonder and Caps run for their lives. 3 members of G2 Esports are down. Death from below is available for Caps. Can he snipe deuxième? He does! He gets the kill. 10 kills to 5. Now it's a 2v4 inside the pits.
The G2 solo laners, all that's left for them to try and defend the Baron. Quick shot.
There's a death from below available to Caps. He manages to get the skewer. Wonder takes so much damage from the barrels, goes straight in, but the ulti does nothing. Baron's been enlisted to help G2, and finally, Wonder goes down. Gimgoon is low on HP. 8 seconds left before Perk survives, but it's FPX that get the Baron.
They will claim their prize of Baron buff to empower the push.
All right, Gimgoon, will he find trouble from Caps? Yes, he does, and not gonna go for the kill just yet. Caps now continues to chase. Abyssal Voyage comes in from Mickey, but the tongue lash is sidestepped. Gimgoon escapes. 3-0-4 on that gangplank. It started with him, and it may end with him.
I just want to highlight how quickly the decisions have to be made after this play. Instantaneous from all teams. Infernal Drake picked up by 2. They go into evasive maneuvers, trying to kite down towards the bottom half of the map. But with the Sivir ultimate and with Nautilus, immense crowd control, they are split apart, Papa.
And then it becomes just a buddy story here of trying to allow Perkz to escape. The kick to interrupt with the knock up there. Beautifully done. You see the cheering here from backstage.
Yeah, Jankos wanted to get in between so that the Q wouldn't land, but you just kick him right through, still gonna get the knock up there, and that led to what we're seeing on screen. Baroned up, FPX coming for those inhibitor turrets.
It's unbelievable performance from FPX. If you look down the kill scores, 304, 316, 126, 403, of the team's 11 kills, the kill participation is extremely high. It's what we wanted to see from FPX. Push out a lane, roam to a side lane. The difference is it was Gimgoon's gangplank with the cannon barrage that was the recipient of this game. And he sets LWX for another kill. 386 CS on that Sivir. With the Baron buff empowered, the inhibitor turret's going low. But Wonder is rattling across the damage onto FPX, but he's caught out. The dredge line into the flay. Wonder's looking for the round warp, and he won't escape. 603. LWX is dominating. G2 did so much damage, but they couldn't finish it off.
FPX are able to get what they came for as well. Quick shot. Inhibitor in the mid lane is down. Will be constant pressure for them to get off.
And getting the Baron, which was such a difficult ask for the team comp they had, is the tonic to actually get those 5v5s in open areas where we already outlined early. There's just no response from G2's comp. The moment Caps fishes for a hook, his health bar is deleted.
Again, so much of this game has been about finding picks, hitting skill shots, and then using those openings immediately to get more from your opponent. Look how FPX do not hesitate to burn all their cooldowns to look for one more advantage. This is the way that you can snowball one play into the next and to get the most out of it.
And you see how low FPX are. Had Caps been alive with death from below, in the melee, in the AoE, that ultimate reset could be a game changer, but he was not. So the inhibitor goes down. G2 are 4,400 gold behind, and you can see that gigantic spike from the Dragon fight to Baron. And Papa Smithy, FPX are in complete control of game number 1.
And I think the one consistent through this topsy-turvy game of action has been that we felt the impact of Doinby's Nautilus above Caps' Pike style pick at the end consistently. You understand the theory behind it, starting boots, going Predator, and having the ability to roam, but never getting the lane control to actually match Doinby, who was 3-4 times ganking top and bottom.
And this is Doinby's most iconic champion for the mid lane, because it is so abnormal, because no other mid laners fully embrace it to this style, and everyone has always posed questions and say, okay, but prove it on the world stage. Here you go, Papa Smithy. I submit Exhibit A.
And yet, we see that, blown by Sivir. They want to catch Jankos.
They absolutely do. Jankos flashes over the wall. Now look at the minimap. The rest of FPX were setting up for a potential Elder Drake. Perkz gets caught by the Nautilus ultimate, and while the cannon minion is still there, G2 Esports concede the Elder. They're going for the inhib, but the dredge line tags down Wonder. He's in trouble. Doomby goes golden. Another death sentence comes out. Devour from Mickey buys enough time. Caps, death from below. Kills down Doomby. This is a 5v4, but the HP is low. Crisp gets tagged. Caps goes down. It's another one, but look at the damage from Wonder. He's looking for LWX. Gimgoon turns around with a parlay. LWX gets the boomerang, gets the ricochet. The round warp comes out, and G2 escape.
Oh, G2 remain on the attack, even while FPX have the upper hand, and in that, they open up the base.
And just remember, during SKT, they conceded the Barons to get the inhibs. This is a game about pressure and control of the map.
And this is why G2 is so beloved. They never go quietly into the night. They will always try to find a counterpunch. They are impossible to KO.
Exactly, Papa Smithy. They will always look to surprise you by remaining on the attack, on the offensive.
And even if FPX close this game, there will still be lingering doubts. Not often the case when you win game 1 of a World Final.
Mickey looks like he's going to get caught out by Gimgoon once again. 408 on that gangplank. throws down another stopwatch, and while Caps is arriving to see him go down, that is another kill, another death that is unneeded and unnecessary at this point.
FPX strike back again. And guess what? The Baron is soon to arrive. In only 30 seconds, with a Elder Dragon 3 Elemental Drake buff, FPX have full control over the area.
They're hunting indeed. Jankos has got a Banshees, no flash available to him. And on the minimap, we've got no vision. The observers building the tension, highlighting what G2 can see. FPX are putting pressure in the top lane.
And as what we can see, Quickshot, they're moving to the bottom side of the map. Again, trying to remain on the attack, even though FPX have more to gain with Baron coming over from that side. They still want to make the offensive play. They rush the minions ahead with the Rise Realm Warp, and they're going to race it.
Look at the minimap, though. The rest of FPX, they've peeled onto the Baron. Recall's coming out for Do in B. That's a 3-man Baron stack. Teleports are coming down. No, that's correction to the top lane. Perks manages to make his way up. So Baron will be conceded here as Wonder concedes the flash to run away. Imgun is chasing. He's got himself the Eye Edge, the Essence Reaver. The Baron is secured. This is the second of the game in conjunction with Elder. FPX should be in control, but G2 don't care about should.
And I love those conditional languages in a match like this where FPX has been packing the punch or had the scaling. It's still conditional because G2 still gives you questions to answer. And if you're too slow in this meta, you can still lose.
Gentlemen, coming into this game, we were discussing how FPX and G2 have redefined how League of Legends is played. And we are already seeing all of the arguments being made.
Both of these teams continually shooting their shots, taking their looks. FPX have not buckled under the pressure where a lot of teams get surprised by the constant offensive moves while G2 is down. FPX have remained calm, and this is the key to game number one. Now, with the Baron and the Elder Dragon, they're able to push on top side, and they should be able to get the rest of the rewards. G2, though, throw another counter punch on the bottom half of the map. You can see in the mini-map.
They get the double TP down bot lane, but what has to shake up on the top side, and can a TP flank undo this 3-man push?
All right, we're going to have to find out. Doomby is able to defend for now. Teleport is coming up. That's the recalls now coming up for G2 Esports. The top lane inhibitor is going to fall, and the mid lane inhibitor is exposed as well.
FPX have used the teleport form Doomby. They're going to try and get 2 inhibitors here. G2 recall.
All right, inhib number 1 hasn't fallen just yet, but it will in a moment. There it does. Both of them fall down. Caps manages to find the Bone Skewer, and G2 are looking for an initiation. By the way, Gimgoon did not leave that bottom lane, so 2 inhibs secured in favor of FPX. They still have 1.5 minutes on Baron, and another 3 minutes to Elder if G2 can survive.
And you're in this awkward spot as G2 where you want to walk up posture and draw a GP teleport so your piggyback gank down the bot side, your pushing game can actually work. They don't get that TP. Gimgoon holds on to it. If all TPs are down, there's still a split push scenario for G2.
FPX marching ahead here. They have remained calm. They still have 1 minute and 20 seconds to work with the Baron buff as well. Teleport available for LWX as well as Gimgoon, and it looks like it will be a reset.
40 minutes into the game, and it is a 7,000 gold lead for FPX. LWX sold his boots, is at full Sivir build, and 26 CS shy of what is considered the win condition for Sivir. 500 equals victory. Now, it should be even more confident than that right now with 1 minute on Baron. Realm comes out, and Wonder's going to get caught up in the death sentence. It's another kill. It's another pick. It's another moment where FPX are shining. 60-second death timer, Kobe, with super minions in multiple lanes and Baron to defend.
That's probably going to be game number 1, Quickshot. FPX with the 5v4 advantage will march on the Nexus turrets.
Chain of Corruption is available, and Jankos gets caught out. The Devourer's buying some time. There goes Caps forward. Crisp manages to stay alive. That was a fantastic flash. The Chain of Corruption is starting to sprint. Jankos buys some time with the Hourglass, and Doomby goes low. LWX gets another. TN finds a second. The Nexus tower falls as well. FPX are looking for one last kill. Not going to find it just yet, as the Nexus gets focused. The Nexus gets killed after the ace, and FPX straight first in the finals. First blood, first dragon, first Baron, first Nexus. And truthfully, it does not play out that easily. Big smiles on the G2 faces, but FPX open the finals with a statement.
And I think G2...
Tristana, if it's going to be running into the Rise and trying to match that, what do you make on that, Kobe?
I definitely agree. High priority on solo lane Tristana because we saw last time around, so much of the game is determined by being able to open up roams for your parts. Usually people are used to one variable, the jungler roaming around, but both of these teams try and introduce more variables into League of Legends, and Tristana is one of those champions that can mine turret plates if you leave her alone, or push a wave with explosive shot very quickly.
Honestly, Kobe, when I'm watching a G2 blue side draft, sometimes my eyes glaze over till 20 seconds because I'm thinking about the infinite possibilities of that further swap again and again. Seems like FPX have come to a similar conclusion that we did in terms of support against what they assume is the Gragas Yasuo, the Galio support to try to actually just threaten that taunt. If you get brush control, it's hard for Gragas Yasuo to walk up.
Exceptional read on the draft, gentlemen. Now let's zoom out and look at these 5v5s, maybe from the G2 lens first, because I think FPX is a little more simple to understand, albeit it's Gimgoon running the Kled, which made me a little sad.
Definitely the historians over here want to see the 9-2 mid lane Kled, but it hasn't been a pick he's gone to this year, and Gimgoon had been showing in solo queue, so I guess there's no huge surprise there. We get this Akali versus Kled top lane matchup.
Yeah, also, Kled a little bit more trouble in mid lane, seeing that it's a Tristana. It's very difficult to deal with that range discrepancy because Kled gets a lot of value in matchups from going all in and using the vicious strikes, but Tristana always has either rocket jump or Buster Shot to get out of that. So given the last lock-in, I like the flex here.
Pick Your Poison has kind of been one of the casticals you said the most times. You still end up with Tristana versus Rise, which has been considered a Rise counter pick in Worlds 2019.
Yeah, especially when we do cast our minds back to that Faker performance that you gentlemen have already talked about. Man, on your screen, Caps and Doin B. It is 0-1 for G2 Esports and FPX, the #1 seed from the LPL. The defending title region is looking to make it a second world championship in a row. Very interestingly, in that previous game, despite the dominance these two teams have showed all summer long, it was the second longest game for each of them at the World Championship. Look at the minimap, and shenanigans are afoot. Both teams are grouped up, both teams are invading, and it's Gimgoon that takes the first auto, while FPX are grouped in the bottom quadrants.
See if they can actually get that deep ward down. Looks like they're fighting over the Raptor pit here. They're gonna see if it is a Tion red side start, and once again, with the level 1, trying to discern if they can isolate this matchup.
That FPX bot lane invade, if they can actually make this a bot side controlled, would actually be another thing that would force Yasuo Gragas onto the back foot as a ranged opponent. Notice they actually didn't put down any vision when they went down into the red side jungle. It's very much just scouting with their faces and then backing away. Vision is much later, spotting the alcove there around the entrance to the red side of G2.
Let's see how Perks and Mickey play this duo. It's been an interesting discussion, the Yasuo Gragas play, because they were able to shut it down so effectively in the quarterfinals, but then weren't able to demonstrate a mastery against SKT. So with both sides of the coin being shown, which one will we see today?
Well, I like that what you expect is often not the case with either of these teams. Both of these teams like to attack where your opponent thinks that you are weak. Trying to use that element of surprise will often turn the tables. Usually early on, Gragas and Yasuo can get pushed under tower because of the range disadvantage and because Yasuo doesn't yet have access to the E, only the Q trying to scrounge up CS here. It makes it a completely different game once Yasuo gets the E, is able to go for possible all-ins, and they can commit to those.
Speaking of all-ins, so walking up there. Level 2 ping doesn't come in. So Galio with brush control is what he alluded to in draft. You're seeing how difficult it is to interact. Tian's actually level 2 mid.
All right, Rune Prison does connect Sonic Wave just short. You can hear the chants here from Paris. Top and mid was pushing towards FPX in favor of G2, but obviously this Gragas Yasuo is being bullied back.
In case you're wondering at home, very non-standard gank time to be mid lane as a red side Lee Sin at 2 minutes 30. You're not going to be level 3. You don't have the ward hop shenanigans available. It's a bit of a mind game there, but no inroads for FPX.
And because of the early invade, they're aware that G2 knows that Tian start on the top side, so they're not giving a tremendous amount of extra information away, and they both want to make their way down towards Gragas Yasuo. Tien, though, does not catch sight of Jankos.
Number of pings there from the FPX side into the bottom tri-bush. Jankos with flash available to him, caps at level 3. Sitting in position, either waiting for a repeat gank or just shadowing that lane. Now all of a sudden he'll grab the Scuttle Crab.
And that's a key idea right there, quick shot. Jankos just looking for the move from Tien, a possible counter gank there, because he's protecting the pushing Tristana.
Spotted with the plan. This does mean that Gragas Yasuo will have a bit more swagger in the bot lane to take aggressive trades. The Hail of Blades tech was debuted at this Worlds, does allow you to get much more impactful trades early. Caps actually just rocket jumps onto the minions to get the push.
Exactly, as we're talking about, the push in mid lane so incredibly impactful. Now we'll see how that actually trails into the rest of the game here. Akali Wonder actually goes back in.
Or really fun trades between the two of them. Wonder and Gimgoon they were actually battling extensively in the Gangplank versus Ryze matchup in game number 1, and they've already started with some heavy trades. Tien makes his way down bot, but he doesn't look like he's going to go for any plays just yet.
And the recall that we just saw in mid lane actually incredibly important, because that was Doinby trying to get the first recall off to get the purchase on the early tier. He can start stacking this mana. He shoves the wave now, and we have to play around these 30-second windows. A new minion wave will spawn every 30 seconds. If you're able to push it in, force your mid laner opponent to actually handle that homework, then you get to make an offensive play.
And I want to make it clear, there's an extra variable here to talk about this Tristana-Elise duo when it comes to ganking mid lane. It's the Ignite being run by Caps. Already these Elise duos have been the talk of this tournament, Elise and Renekton, for example. We already knew that Tristana's strong in this matchup. You add the Ignite and the Elise jungle against any opponent, and basically as Doinby, you're pushing out one minion wave and then back.
And I think it's so important to note that right now, Wonder is under trouble. Skull gets actually procced. This time round, Jankos is looking for opportunities. Contrast that to game 1, where Doinby on the Nautilus and Tien on the Lee Sin were able to get early advantages, and many of them in the top lane. Jankos is looking for a play. The Justice Punch will find a tag there onto Perks, and LWX continues to step forward with that Icathian Rain. They end up winning the trade in the bottom lane.
Meanwhile, we're already seeing this Akali start to pull ahead on the top side of the map. Wonder, when he's afforded isolation there with the Akali, landing so many more of the last hits despite Gimgoon going for these trades.
All right, the exhaust was thrown down there onto LWX, so Summoner Spell disadvantage for the G2 bottom lane, and Tien is now waiting in the wings. Level 5 for Doinby. It's the flash exhaust on that Ryze, and I'm waiting to see the Safeguard Sonic Wave Rune Prison combo. There is enough damage if they want it.
And I think Tien is mostly there for counter gank, because we already alluded to how much threat there is. Starts to walk up and clear a ward.
All right, I want to look into the future, because we don't want to get behind the game here.
Wait, you can do that?
Yes, I'll pull out my Scrying Orb.
Ooh.
With FPX actually having multiple people on bottom side, I expect G2 to try and play off of a level 6 power spike from Akali. I just mentioned Wonder's doing a very good job in lane. Akali is so good at executing the second part of her R ultimate and getting the kill onto Kled, because whenever you dismount, the extra percentage damage there does help you finish off tower dives, and you have an Elise on your team. So we'll see if they can actually afford to focus that lane with an Infernal Drake alive.
Notice, though, that Gimgoon didn't use his teleport, so they can actually have 5 members here, FPX, and Akali can't join.
Not just yet. The Scuttle Crab was picked up there by Jankos. The Elise was able to secure that final hit. 10 creeps up. Note as well, Wonder, nearly double the CS of Gimgoon. Both of them at level 6, and Mickey and Perks making their way to ultimates as well.
That Scuttle Crab was an incredibly efficient smite from Jankos. Necessary defense now that they've acquired this vision, and bottom lane pushing up. Perks has been able to start the dragon. Yasuo very good at helping take these dragons because of the wind wall, and allowing possible denial of skill shots from the opponent team.
This multi-step process, in spite of the losing 2v2 early, is going to get them an Inferno, it looks like. Chris Facechecks gets the bad news. Tien and Doinby are late here.
Well, they are going to be a little bit. 800 HP on the Infernal. Caps will just avoid that overload.
Oh.
That's a flash forward into the taunt. Dragon secured by G2, but the first fight is on the board. First blood again to FPX. Now Tien is going so low. Jankos repels up, comes down, gets killed. It's a jungler for jungler trade, and now Perks is blown up. 3 for 1, but the dragon goes to G2.
I believe Jankos didn't even have smite when they're starting up this dragon. That's why they're waiting around it for so long too. In the end, he gets it with the execute Q form of Elise, but FPX with the extra kill are going to try and push on bottom and earn some turret plate money.
And the instinct to walk up there actually gets them much more fruit than you'd expect. 3 kills for that first Infernal Drake secure. LWX gets a plate as well. That's a big early gold injection for FPX.
All right, let's take another look at it because for G2 here, Jankos just used the smite on the Scuttle Crab for the vision, but because Chris flashes in there, forces up extra vision, they are under attack very early on. Tian eventually gets focused here as they get into the back of the Dragon Pit, but it is still 2 for 1, allowing then some map pressure for FPX, resulting in what you just saw. Now Kaisa with the gold bounty, 2 kills to his name for LWX and the CS lead.
But it was really a matter of time in this meta with your fast, decisive decisions required. And what we saw in that was the no smite and Tian lasting so long in the fight that ended up with the 3-for-1 trade.
And those are 2 trades right there. Later, power of Infernal buff, but look what you can see on the gold total right now. LWX far and away the richest person in the game.
1,300 gold above Perks right now. His lane opponent, 15 CS lead. Obviously, you can see 2-0-1 in the kills, compliments of that Dragon fight. And FPX again strike first in the game, get themselves an advantage, and we need to see how G2 will bounce back. And also, how FPX are going to push this lead, because with a enabled Kaisa, maybe a little earlier than anticipated, Kled, Rise, Galio, Kaisa, that is a terrifying death ball dive style comp. As Gimgoon's going to chase forward using the charge, and he almost gets the solo kill. Skarl gets popped. How did Wonder survive? He manages to stay alive a few seconds longer and get under the tower.
And it was only just an inch away from being a straight up solo kill. That always does more damage than you expect in the 1v1.
Kled able to force out the flash there from Wonder. Now let's see if there's going to be any sort of response. We just have 2 resets on the side of FPX, so I think everything should calm down.
The gold standard here for FPX to use that extra gold to get deep vision on the red side jungle to stop Yasuo or Gragas doing what it says on the tin, which is after level 6, doesn't matter how much gold Kaisa has, you can't walk up at threat of the body slam flash or the ultimate coming in. So actually expressing the lead in the 2v2 is actually difficult against specifically Gragas Yasuo duo.
All right, Gimgoon with the Hex Drinker here. Going to afford him more opportunities to go for those all-ins onto Akali. With Press the Attack, you have a lot of burst damage that you can try and threaten very early. It's going to be about how these junglers work around the Rift Herald. Jankos leashes it all the way towards mid lane. That should give up his position.
Absolutely the case. Tian
He knows.
gets spotted out. Sonic Wave finds a target. Repel app finds a minion to go down. Rune Prison locks him down. That's a buster shot on the rocket jump with the ignite coming in. Chris comes down with the ultimate. They end up trading.
Long cooldown used from Crisp there to no inroad. Mickey's mid lane going to be spotted on this, but you start to see the burst potential. Didn't really feel like starting to put too much oomph into the autos, and yet Lee Sin almost went down.
A lot of damage potential when G2 gets the time to set it up, if they want to use the Tristana combination. But then you add the burst combination for the Akali as well as the Yasuo. There are tools for them available. Mickey sneaks away a little bit more damage on the mid-outer turret. And look at the minimap now. LWX and Crisp, they've recalled. They've put themselves in the top lane, and it looks like we're going to have Australia lane set up.
Yeah, and there's a very big difference here. Because of the extra teleport on Wonder, G2 can actually force a Rift Herald play. After swapping over, Gimgoon is basically relegated to bottom lane, especially until the Kled ultimate comes up.
But it's bottom lane with a TP disadvantage. FPX fantastic at using their teleports for offensive moves. Sometimes these teams walk up and fight too much. For now, Tian is going to be in disengage duty. They want to buy about 1.5 minutes for Gimgoon to be able to be back on the map.
All right, Yanko showing bottom. Actually going to hover behind Wonder rather than go for the big play on top side with numbers advantage. And Tian, I think he gets it.
Yeah, he manages to sneak that one away. Crisp goes for the Justice Punch forward, will not find a taunt onto Mickey, but look at the minimap. Jankos has made his way up, and now FPX, they've positioned themselves to start the Heralds.
Yeah, you can see whenever Gimgoon hovers in the river here, he's threatening possible Kled roam
Perks
towards
wants
it.
to solo, Perks wants to solo, and he will get out the Killer Instinct. He doesn't find the knockup. The exhaust was committed for that. Now, there's no Killer Instinct from LWX, and that final breath from Perks' Yasuo is available. The Herald is secured, and that solo attempt prevents G2 from picking a further fight.
Crucially, there's no TP ward here for Akali to come in, so despite having TP, it's not felt. The Rift Herald goes down. Perks is lingering on the top side.
Oh, G2 will get themselves a Cloud Drake, and the taunt finds two! FPX step forward. The wind wall and the Gragas barrel does so much to work.
Oh!
The tower. Mickey goes down. Tien's not done yet. He gestures all the way forward. FPX are looking for the first tower.
This is a tale of two pushes. Quick shot, top side. FPX strike quick, and they strike hard. Meanwhile, mid lane, G2 trying to fight back. They get a counter punch, and the Tristana explosive shot will do some work.
And maybe the Tristana can be the difference, but otherwise FPX went all tails up in this play. This time they have the Rift Herald on their first push and plenty of backup for LWX.
FPX continue to strike first here, mining more and more money. Let's see if there's a counterattack. As you can see on the mini-map, Mickey and Perks move up to try and take down the Rift Herald before the charge gets off, but the damage has been done.
It absolutely is. No Gragas ulti available. LWX will flash away from Mickey's flash. It's traded 1-for-1. Here comes Perks, here comes Caps. Duabee's the target, gets caught up on the final breath, but the hero's entrance does so much to save him. FPX cannot be stopped, cannot be contained, cannot be controlled, and they've got a 4,000 gold lead.
There's no way to back up through that hero's entrance, and the zone control of the Galio means that Yasuo is food for FPX.
FPX looks so clean right now, executing no hesitation on the re-engage. After they see Mickey burn the flash, they know they can just turn and burn. Root is used, and no member for FPX actually losing out.
And my eyes are fully dilated because it's a 2-item build. Manamune into the Rage Blade already done. Coming back onto this play, it was a nice disengage. Doinby just about gets enough damage down and finished off by LWX.
And that's LWX accruing another kill. Kaisa now with 4 kills. As you talked about, Papa Smithy,
boy.
the build is well underway.
I have been here before, gentlemen, watching a European team playing a Chinese team where hope was high and gameplay did not live up to it.
Yeah,
it is a
let's hope it changes this time.
1,000 goal difference. Now, one thing that is important to note, G2 Esports did win consecutive team fights behind in gold versus SKT just 1 week away. But they need to channel that performance again to bring it back this game.
Well, Cookshot, they're about to be posed a very difficult question. Gimgoon split pushing on the Kled on top side of your map. We're about to reach that top tower, but G2 continually looking for a possible aggressive move instead.
The silver lining is that the cooldowns are much longer on FPX's side, so you actually have to not lick your wounds. You have to re-engage before Hero's entrance and also the charge are off cooldown. But now, though, they're showing respect. Caps continues to get plenty of gold in the side lane, but they lose mid-outer.
It ends up being a mid-outer for bottom lane trade. Perks sidestep some of the damage. Mickey gets caught up by the Kaiser W, and the Wind Wall is doing some work to reduce the follow-up damage. FPX 2 towers to 1. They are behind in the Dragon game, but that is it. They have everything else on lockdown, and a super strong AD carry, 4-0-2. LWX has been consistent all worlds long.
And the team consistently drafts these compositions that allow him lots of room to work with. The idea behind FPX's strategy here, you have the Kled charging in with the extra speed, then Galio ult on top of the Kled to actually protect the remount there, and this opens up so many plasma targets that LWX is afforded a very offensive ultimate.
And it's just threat and zone control for him to just free hit and choose his moment. And yes, open the tournament ulting too much, as speaking of ults.
All right, Realm Warp comes down. Void Seeker will connect onto Cap, but LWX decides not to go into the Killer Instinct. There was enough distance put between G2 and FPX before expending any additional ultimates. Duembi goes fishing. He doesn't find anything right now. It'll just be a matter of time before he throws down that Realm Warp. He's sitting 1-0-4. The front man for FunPlus Phoenix, and he'll need to get a little more creative to put some pressure. But look at the minimap. Gingoon, he's pushing on that outer turret, and I think he'll get some chip damage before Wonder rocks up.
Still a lot of pressure here being applied by FPX. Stopwatch on this back coming through from LWX to go for one of those overeager dives. And yeah, it was the first day where suddenly we were down on FPX, that first seed from China that just wasn't able to pull the trigger smartly in the first round robin of the group stage, but they've been building since then in this first seed versus first seed battle.
And I really like that people sometimes forgets that these players are very, very new to this big of a stage. On the world stage, all of them showing up now under pressure. And that is very heartening to see.
All right, there's the engage, the kickback. Mickey finds some damage on Dewey Bean, but he's instantly thrown to the wolves. The charge from Gimgoon brings some damage backwards, but goes gold, and LWX stays alive. Wind will buy some time, but simply not enough. Perks goes forward. The final breath does nothing, and it's Crisp that gets another. 2 quick kills to FPX.
And look what they can do with that quick shot. They get free reign over the map. The Dragon should be in the hands of LWX and the rest of FPX. G2, they have to back up and retreat to their towers now. There's nothing left for them to defend.
It's very much an every man for themselves when someone gets picked so quickly to open a fight, and there are more re-engage options available for FPX. We're mercifully before 20 minutes. There's no Baron punish open for FPX. Here is the replay. So much lingering doubt in the fog, and very quickly, Mickey got the bad news.
Tian is so good. Everyone highlights Duanbi because of the champions that he uses. But remember, Tian was also added to FPX to start off their remarkable rise. He's able to get the kickback to start this whole play. And then, as you're talking about, the chase down there, Papa Smithy.
I'm a big fan of LWX leading with his face. He says, I don't care if I'm 4-kill guy, so I'll frontline. I've got the stopwatch. I didn't build this to save.
Oh, I love that, leading with his face.
Oftentimes, as soon as you buy the stopwatch, you're like, I'm going to be pretty rich soon. I'll turn it into Zonia soon. I need to get the active usage now.
Exceptional lead here for FPX. 5,000 gold just before 20 minutes. And despite the fact that a recall's coming in from Crisp, G2 Esports have no idea. Look at what they have to deal with. 106, 2.5 items completed for Duanbi. 2.5 plus that broken stopwatch for LWX at 4, 0, and 5. And it feels like every time G2 have looked for an opportunity, the response has been equal or better from FPX.
And while FPX are super far ahead, 5,000 gold pre-20 will tell you that, the final tipping point is Baron. If FPX get Baron, this G2 comp doesn't have anywhere near the right amount of wave clear close the game. But it's going to start it and take the fight if G2 come in.
Take a look at the minimap. Akali and Tristana are nowhere nearby. They were not invited to the Baron party. Now Mickey can get a multi-man knockup, which Perks can follow up on, but they're too late. They're too slow. And FPX, they get the Baron. They realm warp forward, and now Perks is the target. He gets a small knockup, forced to flash defensively. While that's going on, Wonder's pushing the bottom lane. FPX extend the gold lead even further. They are looking at the inner turret, and Gimgoon is able to reply. FPX don't even lose a bottom outer turret.
This LPL train's not stopping anytime soon, Quick Shot. They'll got the Baron empowered recalls off for the reset and head straight back for more.
Chinese freight train was one of the big memes of Season 3 and Season 4. And it's rolling.
Taking me back.
It's rolling. Well, it's, you know, history lessons abound. We're trying not to think about 1 year ago today, effectively in the last World Final. But FPX look impervious to G2's strategies. They've called out and they've dealt with this Yasuo Gragas duo that so many other teams have rolled under the strength and pressure of. And suddenly, it really feels like G2 have one more roll of the dice, and even then, these are loaded dice to FPX.
Absolutely are, especially with one additional little quick stat.
I'm listening.
That was the fastest Baron of Worlds 2019, set by FunPlus Phoenix. This was always going to be a crazy final, and we've just hit a small pause. As soon as I hear why, I will let you guys know. But FPX are in such a commanding position this game.
It's the face cams of the G2 players that I think will be the most interesting, because you're going to be wearing the anguish on your faces. I was a big fan of their strategy in game number 1, of really going for a dangerous game, and look, got answered, went down 1-0. G2 have the grit to come back from the corner of the plank, let's say. They have come back from 0-2 down multiple times, and you can certainly count on the Paris crowd to try to help them rebound.
Yeah, help or hinder. That amount of noise, that amount of pressure. We are finding it hard to focus at times. I can only imagine. But look, everybody watching at home, 32,000 to 40,000. 4,000 gold at 21.5 minutes. There's Baron on the side of FPX. And look at those players on the G2 side. That is not happy and smiley players. They feel the pressure that they are under. And since quarters and semifinals, no team that lost game 1 has been able to win the best of 5.
No League of Legends players will have greater pressure on them than those in the World Championship on home soil, Quick Shot.
Yep.
It's G2 that really has transferred that pressure, not to themselves, but to all the European teams coming over to the LEC, picking the brain of the pros and the coaches. They said G2 winning MSI meant they could no longer go to Worlds and go as far as they could. They couldn't be happy with just a playoffs best of 5. They felt pressure to make it to the final and to win the final. And here are G2, and they're starting to feel the same pressure they created for their region.
Can I take a moment to once again quote the press conference?
I'm listening.
As Paris is cheering and screaming. Warhorse, the coach for FunPlus Phoenix, was asked a question about, will the noise, the cheers, the scale of this stadium be different for the players? And how will they handle the pressure? He laughed, physically laughed before saying, I've looked at G2's win-loss internationally. I've looked at ours. They are the ones that should be worried. And as it stands, FPX have come out the gates and they have just delivered in every game.
Well, Trevor, now is the time where veterans need to step up. Veterans need to shine. Because when you are under pressure like this, especially when you get towards those late game team calls, you have to have the calm voice. You have to the focus be brought back under the magnifying glass to keep your eyes on the prize.
I'm going to call out Warhorse. The sample size is pretty different between the history of games that G2 have played and the history of international games FPX has played. I'll take his point. I know what he's trying to say, but there's some sample size issues there.
And of course, you have to step back and think a little bit about 2 finals in a row, EU versus China, LEC versus LPL, 2 years in a row where hope is high for the European representatives. But when the pressure is turned to max, failed to deliver. I love the sign, raise your baguettes for G2 Esports. You need to raise a lot more. Give them your energy if you want us to see more games this series.
And if you want to talk stats, there of course has been much discussion about this on Reddit, the fact that FPX so far have dodged Korean and North American teams. You look at G2, they played 2 games against Chinese teams this year. Scheduling worked out that way. They lost both to IG, and we never got that big best of 5 between those 2 teams. So regionally, this is definitely a bit of a bogey team for G2.
I think there is no doubt that right now LPL is the strongest region. If you look back over the last 2 years, 3 of the 4 big international victories came from the LPL. Let's take another look at that Dragon because it was so exciting. No smite for Jankos. He does get it with the execution with his Spider Form Q, and the thing that's traded over is more gold and a favorable map state for FPX. Because they get the 2 kills, not only do they get that extra immediate value, but they were also able to get the turret plate off of bottom and push heavy.
And you just see the value of a Galio in both these plays. In the first play, the Gragas Yasuo level 5, so they don't have any zone control. In this play, Yasuo goes in, the Galio's there to cut off the rest, and that's why exit kills were possible for FPX.
Crisp has been so incredibly good for FPX, setting up a lot of these plays. Tien has been so incredibly good setting up so many of these plays. In back-to-back replays, we see each of these 2 facilitator players being highlighted.
And as the play tail ended here, there's not really any passengers on this team. You know, Gimgoon has been really good in his role of not getting a lot of help in most games, game 1 an exception, and still flourishing. Has some very nice sidesteps on the GP, for example. So with no passengers, you start to reap the rewards as the pause does draw on.
It does indeed. And as an update, League officials have received reports by FunPlus Phoenix during the last team fight, as League officials have reviewed the shadow play footage to verify some of the lag that was reported and resolve the issue. Let's send it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much. Quick shot while we wait for league officials to sort that out on stage with the teams. Gives us a moment here in what looks like dire straits for G2 to start breaking down this game 2 and what might be the rest of the series here.
I mean, frankly, it's starting to look like a 3-0 at this point. Like, yes, there's still a lot of game to play, but I really do feel that if G2 just get absolutely smashed here, FPX are proving Like, we came into this and we were like, oh, you know, G2 have the individual better players. Today, FPX far exceed G2 in individual powers. Mickey especially is just getting schooled by Crisp.
I think also there's a huge thing in the draft, 2 games in a row now, where execution required from G2 to actually pull it off is much, much higher than what it is from FPX. If you look at this one especially, first picking the Gragas into them playing your Gragas Yasuo, which we have seen so many times from them, it does make it a bit harder to play the game because you don't have the traditional AD carry just sitting there. They traded that for the Kai'Sa pick that we knew was going to get locked in by FPX. And I think that's a bit of a problem because G2, they've been so used to outplaying mechanically in these skirmishes. They're not doing that against FPX. They're matching them or beating them.
And I want to point out what's happened in the first 2 drafts in terms of bot lane champions. Because coming into this, we had 1 checkmark for Perks and 1 checkmark for Crisp. But what's ended up happening in the draft phase is G2 have been tested on the AD carry champion pool, and FPX has won both 2v2. So the very first time Zai and Rakan are gone, you immediately think Varus Tahm Kench is now the highest priority. So G2 just jump on it. However, Sivir Thresh split the lane, which means they beat it because Sivir has a better late game. So that's one example. This game, we see it again. First pickup, Xayah banned, do you lock Kai'Sa? That is almost an instant lock for any other matchup so far at the World Championship. But G2 think Kench Varus beats it. So they instead go Gragas Yasuo, say if you pick Kai'Sa, we will beat it with Gragas Yasuo, but then they don't. So now they're 2 games in a row kind of losing that draft test in the bottom lane, and it makes it very difficult for them to draft their way out of it.
And one of the signatures of G2 taking this Yasuo Gragas is splitting the map, just like what we saw in game number 1 when FPX did it. Usually, when they have Yasuo Gragas, G2 like to do that. So they can start to set up some dives, and they can start to set up this Yasuo and Gragas to just be a terror down there. But they didn't. And I'd have to go back and review kind of what happened, or if it was just G2 making that decision. But what is normally a very aggressive, very forward lane around the level 2 is when you start having that kill threat. I don't know what happened. I'd have to go back and see, did Chris zone them off a wave? Did they take some really bad early trades? But something went wrong down there where now G2 in what should be a comfort bottom lane is playing from a very far back foot.
All right, well, with that, I've received word that the players are ready checking and heading back into game in just a moment. So we're going to toss it right back up to those 3 handsome gentlemen for the call.
Thank you very much, and we are right back into game. Tian will throw out the Sonic Wave just to catch you up. FPX have smashed this early game. LWX and Duinby, recipient of so many kills and assists, and obviously with the Baron are now doing some work. Chris gets caught out by the ultimate. Tian puts so much damage on the Yankos and is turning around. Chris throws down the stopwatch, we're right back into the heat of it. Here come FPX over the wall. Hero's entrance into the river, and G2, they cannot find anything yet. They're chasing on Chris. They've got themselves finally 1 more kill, but the teleport comes up from Gimgoon. He doesn't have the charge available. All of a sudden, Mickey's down. Oh, 2, 3. LWX can find the triple. Tian gets another. G2 are aced at 22 minutes.
And FPX will march down mid lane. Baron buff in tow. They will lay waste to these towers.
They laid waste to the enemies there. LWX is so damn fed on this Kai'Sa. They'll barrel through, and because it's early, they might not be able to close purely because the death timers are short.
It's a 10,000 gold lead already. And look at the members of G2 Esports faces on the player cams. They are grinning manically, sadistically, because they are understanding the situation they are in. G2 Esports have their backs pushed against the wall. There is no more room for any mistakes or any dream of coming back this game.
However, you also have to increase your acceptance of risk and go for the opportunities that are presented to you, Quickshot. Take your chance because you're so far behind, you need to make it work. That's why they're smiling here. They know they have to throw a big punch, and they attempt to attack FPX while they're split. This moment where LWX has a great dodge with the Kai'Sa Killer Instinct, but Chris already used the Galio ultimate, was almost an opening. They were able to get the Galio kill, but it bought time for FPX to collapse and FPX do not let them get away.
And of course, that replay brought to you by Axe Gaming. What's your move? What's your move, Tian? Setting up LWX. It ends up being a trade of 1-for-1. Jankos escapes a few seconds longer with Bear Trap on a rope. Will not pull him backwards. Now Caps, he steps forward, trying to get Skarl to run for the hills. Rocket jumps once again. Not gonna find him just yet. I think that Realm Warp was interrupted. I think the Cocoon did it. Now Perkz is looking for a last breath target. Jankos escapes for now, and Perkz gets blown up where he stands. Caps will not be able to kill Gimgoon. He goes golden. The stopwatch saves him this time. Now Caps is in trouble. He gets chased down, run down. Not yet killed by LWX, but it will only be a few seconds longer. Jankos repels up, drops down. Chris continues to chase him. Goes golden. The stopwatch buys again. So much time. But here comes Doinb. He gets the kill. LWX cannot find Caps, but Gimgoon may be able to. Blast Cone is available, and so will the rocket jump. Oh, Caps! He runs into Tian, and he will finally get taken down. 17 kills to 3. It's not done yet, Kobe, because Mickey's chasing Chris.
Action still going here. Quick shot. Root lands for Rise.
Yes, screw it. Here comes Wonder. Pick another fight. Why the hell not? Flash over the wall. Killer instinct to kill Wonder. Now, Perkz has rejoined the fight. He's going to get taken down by Doinb. He gets the knockup. He can't even breathe one last time. Nor can I. At a 13,000 gold deficit, FPX are pushing the base.
They're pushing the limits of your large lungs over there. The yakety sax music reverberating around the Accor Hotel Arena. This should be the close for FPX.
FPX are one win away from a World Championship title. They turn their attention to one last kill. The Nexus goes down, and FPX are 2-0 up. We are on the cusp of deja vu coming true once again. The beginnings of a potential LPL dynasty. 2 World Championships back to back. That is what FPX is staring down right now with a potential clean 3-0, which we haven't seen since play-ins.
And it's incredible that this is one of the newer teams from the LPL. The rise of this Phoenix has been meteoric, quick shot. With adding Doinb and Tian, them coming together, coming from a bottom half LPL team, skyrocketing to the very peak of competition.
I think it's pretty arguable that Doinb was the best player to never make it to the World Championships before he qualified for his first. And now he might be a world champion on the first go. Ambition was the last.
Specifically used in mid lane with the Predator to try and push and roam and affect, specifically, funnily enough, Papa, the top lane.
Yeah.
And the question is, what do G2 then lock in here? We assume for Jankos, once we get into this phase 2, give the option to put either that Rise top or middle, pivot on whatever FunPlus Phoenix decide to lock in. So what safe blind picks do we have? And you think FunPlus would like to run?
I think when it comes to G2, firstly, the Rek'Sai was banned last time out when it's double AD banned, and it's going to go that way as well. So if you look at what he's played this tournament, we're kind of at Jarvan or the Elise that hasn't worked so far in this series. So I think it might have to be the AD choice here, and it is the Jarvan.
Jarvan locked in, and we'll get those questions answered in just a moment. The gangplank for Gimgoon did a lot of work in game 1, and it was gangplank into Rise as well. It was a matchup that Wonder was doing fairly well in the 1v1, but all of Tian's ganks got him ahead.
It took so much effort to make it happen though, quick shot. So many resources from FPX sent topside. Jarvan can level 2 gank, and it is a winning matchup for Rise, as we're actually seeing the hover on the Draven for some more lane domination.
And the gauntlet has been thrown by FPX. They've got double globals that they can throw to that bottom side of the map. It is Gimgoon's tried and true gangplank and a mid-lane Galio for Doinb. Meanwhile, G2 have to lay it down. What's going to be the final carry?
And it is the Vigor locked in. It has been a fringe pick here at the World Championship, but what do you make of it, Papa
Remember
Smith?
that started with a Draven hover, which means they were considering Ezreal mid. This could actually be Ezreal mid into the Galio. You don't have to run the Veigar there. This is another one where if you consider, put down the cage, hook someone into it, that's a whole lot of crowd control. So let's wait till 20 seconds to really fully put the picture together.
Definitely true. Ezreal can try and start pushing that wave, fire those Mystic shots through, but they've only got 2 seconds left to make it happen. There will be no twist at the end of this champion select.
Now, if there is one thing that G2 is signaling with the baby cage from Vigar and the cataclysm from Jarvan, if they can't win the team fights, they sure as hell want to put walls up to prevent FPX steamrolling them. The disruption that those two champions will cause in these mid-game fights could be the turning point for G2.
But then Galio and Thresh have similar opportunities. We're shouting during this pick and ban. This is going to be an intriguing one. To me, Jankos has to be the MVP. He has the ganking jungler. He needs to get the ganking done.
He needs to be the summer split MVP Jankos. The man that once wore the moniker of the First Blood King. Here on European soil, the European champions carrying the hope of Europe. But the man on your screen, the dancing, singing Wonder Kid super carry from the LPL, wants to close this out 3-0, and we are moments away from what could be the final game of Worlds 2019.
There is that Summoners Cup. We do hold out hope. We don't have a repeat of the 3-0 last year. This is going to be an awesome one.
Just very quickly, if you don't know the FPX story we tried to talk about in the previous game, the experience of FunPlus Phoenix. Papa Smithy, you were talking about it in Drop. This is a team that has popped up on the international stage. They have 15 games played across the board. FunPlus Phoenix as an organization had a huge turning point once Tian and Duenby joined the organization, comparing their win-losses from 2018 to 2019.
And the freshness of these players to the international stage makes this performance and this dominance that much more impressive.
It's a 90% win rate on the regular season, and Doinby was asked about play styles and kind of understanding him. He said, every team that I come on plays a certain style. That is the FPX style, but it fits them so well.
And he brings something that's incredibly important in Pro League. It's leadership to every team that he joins. Perks now under attack.
All right, flash for flash, it's traded. Arcane Shifter, I think used there as well. Now the blue buff is under siege. FunPlus Phoenix will be able to secure this one. Now, any other AD carry, I think that'd be a little bit more valuable, but there is some wiggle room on an Ezreal with that E.
But flash for flash, when G2 could have gone for a non-sided bot lane and went Ezreal bot so they could play top side, means that suddenly on the weak side, Ezreal goes from being unflappable to potentially taken down. So there still is a reward there as Jankos going buff to buff.
Plus, this is very intentional from FPX. They're trying to split the map once again. And we briefly talked about it last time, but this is what happens to the jungle when you do one of those early invades. It basically means you have to cross for the buffs, and you're going to leave behind one of the wolves to have a delayed spawn on the enemy's experience. But the biggest effect of it is not on the junglers themselves. It's actually on those lane matchups, and it's allowing that bottom lane where the flash discrepancy on the Ezreal is being pushed under the tower. Now the hook lands.
Oh man, that death sentence is fantastic. Mickey down to 100 HP. LWX and Crisp have just been the superior 2v2 this series.
FPX open up a point to attack, and they're trying to just get the maximum out of this bottom lane advantage.
Perks actually spotted Tian
Sonic
with the
wave.
Q, so knew he was there. Positioned accordingly.
This is such a risky tower dive, and Perks and Mickey, they want to get away. Sonic Wave should still be on cooldown, and the Demolish will allow some damage to this tower.
Minions denied here. One melee goes down. They're trying to zone them. Even from experience here, are they going to make their way back in?
0 CS for Perks. 3.5 minutes into the game. Nearly 3 full waves, and Perks just gets on the board. He's flashless, he's CS-less, he's experienceless, and capsless. He's ready to survive.
And look at the respectful timing from FPX. They are maintaining a couple of seconds lead on G2. You saw Jankos heading down after the recall on Jarvan, but FPX already pulled out of the bottom lane play. They let up on the pressure and actually turn towards mid lane so they don't get caught under the tower red-handed.
And Kobe, the decision-making here was fascinating because I was looking and saying, all right, red buff stolen, blue buff claimed. As a level 2 Lee Sin, because you can't actually get level 3 from the bot side of the jungle when you started on blue buff, You can't really invade against a Jarvan, you'll be caught red-handed. Instead, they make it about what they do have, the ability to zone away, the ability to deny the Ezreal, and instead, they claim in a scenario where I think 8 out of 10 teams would have been 3-buff.
Now again, we talked about the pressure that transitions through Summoner's Rift. Now there is a big wave building up on top side. That's where your jungler has to be. Tian has already taken the Scuttle Crab and helping Gimgun move up that wave, trying to take away the possibility of an answer from Jankos, the offensive gank from Jarvan. Now he's found him and they can feel secure.
All right, picking a fight there over the big chicken. Jankos and Tian now trading a little bit, looking at the minimap. Caps is pushed all the way to his tower. Still farming up with that baleful strike. Now from behind, Crisp, no flash available. If the death sentence lands with the help of Tian, it might be enough damage. But obviously the Galio at this point in the game, maybe not just enough.
This is why we keep highlighting Tian. He doesn't even go for the recall on Lee Sin. He's doing as much as he can to set these lanes up so they can fend for themselves.
3 games in a row, Lee Sin has had the map pressure early, not even farm to level 6, like we so often see. Really impressive jungling performance here. The biggest delta between the two teams to me is the two junglers.
And it was what we anticipated. Tian has been one of the most impressive junglers all tournament long, and he's had a significantly bigger impact in the early stages than what Jankos has been able to do.
All right, now the big minion wave on bottom side allows FPX to get the recall off. Definitely a lot of vision here for G2. Let's see if Chris actually risks trying to get into the tower, and they are going to do it.
Okay, so 25 CS to 41. That's where Perks is playing with. Now it is matched in the top lane as Wonders 44 to 25. LWX comes back in with a TP.
And he comes back in with a BF sword. So the most combat stats versus the least combat stats here on the back, and that's because Perks has been necessitated into bad back timings.
And let me highlight once again, Tian, he moves down because there's a pushing minion wave bottom. So
we know how this goes, Kobe.
Exactly. Every time they play with the waxing and waning of minion waves on Summoner's Rift, and so they don't lose out on any of those extra gold pickups.
And even though G2 prepped for it and tried to find counters, turns out you keep doing that, especially with the damage lead that the Xayah has. You just take L's incrementally again and again as this Ezreal, who's on welfare in the early game.
And this time we see defense from Jankos. Make sure that there's no dive possible. FPX just turn their sights towards the dragon. They'll pick up the mountain.
All right, Mountain Drake uncontested here with all the control that FPX have been able to accrue. Now, we haven't seen too much of that top lane, but I do want to track it. Wonder is continuing to farm up, as you somewhat expect in the early game. Gimgun has hit level 6, so if any of those bot lane plays come down, Cannon Barrage, Hero's Entrance, Perks and Mickey could be in a lot of trouble.
Definitely been the story throughout this series. What could be the possible changes here that G2 could throw into it, though? And those things come from mobility and crowd control. The reason this Veigar is picked is because of the AoE CC. We always see it with the Glacial Augment, so you can try and chase down and find those kills and set your team up to start the snowball in their favor.
While there's the S word, scaling on Ryze, on Veigar, late game looks good. We've learned that the meta in 2019 isn't about scaling. It's about being forced into a decision again and again, and making no play is often worse than making a bad play. Right now, they haven't been able to find Gangster Jarvan. He's out of position for this zone off, and that's 3 plates done in an instant.
And just count the objectives that FPX get with this big minion wave. They get multiple turret plates. They deny CS from Perks.
They're gonna get a turret.
They also are going to get the whole thing. That's first turret bonus.
Yeah, absolutely beautifully played here by FPX. No jitters, no nerves. They get that flash from Perks, and they just keep twisting the pressure until the tower breaks. Now, some kudos to Perks and Mickey. They did play respectfully and defensively. They didn't give up more. But when you're down 1,000 gold in your penultimate or final game, it is a problem.
Exactly. We saw this all season long from FPX in the LPL. Once again, LWX, richest man on the Rift.
He is for sure, and all of that from a flash for flash. That was the right call. If you can get the 80 carries flash, an 80 carry you know wants to play without jungle help in an Ezreal, then you just can get cascading advantages. And it comes back to what I was mentioning about how things are in this meta. G2 haven't got anywhere to target, haven't got anywhere they want to fight, and they keep losing and not claiming anything for themselves.
I would say the one area that G2 can look for is to try and play around Wonder. There's an equally big CS lead growing for this Rise, and we always mention, the Rise matchup into Gangplank. He's been doing a very good job of trying to get that while FPX have been able to get a big lead on bottom. Wonder should be the point for G2 to mount the counterattack. The Rise, everything was invested into it.
And that's why you can see FPX attacking him in the top lane. After that first tower fell, just want to let you know that was the fastest first tower of Worlds 2019. Just in the previous game, FPX set the fastest Baron of Worlds 2019. And FPX may want to set another record winning this final. They're putting pressure on the top lane tower, and there's no initiation just yet.
Attack the winning lane. No longer does Rise get to just wail away on a GP. And remember, GP has his ult while he's parked bot lane against the Ezreal, so they can always outnumber us. Here we go.
Yankos, he failed flashes. He hits the wall. Doinby trades a flash for a flash, and Yankos is able to escape for now.
And look, they're making a lane swap once again. Perkz uses the teleport up to top side to equalize, and they're sending Wonder bottom. This is in preparation for the possible play around Rift Herald. We're entering 10 minutes. It will spawn, and this opens up G2 with the extra teleport on Rise. They can actually go for an answer.
You can read so much into that face plant flash from Yankos. He has been somewhat run around in circles this series. His team is down 1,000 gold already. We've just crested the 10-minute mark, and that Rift Herald has been set up, it has been secured, and it is safe for FPX.
No kills on the board, but it's so hard for G2 to contest when they haven't got their scaling down. And remember that FPX got advantages with globals, and that doesn't usually happen because you usually sacrifice globals, long cooldowns, for just other stats. You pay for having AoE globals especially, and neither of them have been used. Therefore, G2 have to continue to cede advantages.
That is such an early Rift Herald for FPX that they will get immediate gold out of it. Yep, Tien immediately just pops on top side. They're just trying to funnel as much into LWX so you can get your crit multipliers going on Xayah, and then you force the team fights with your Galio Lee Sin engages.
Tian has the possibility to go for a dive here. The boop from Shelly easily secures the second tower. LWX up 20 CS already. Perkz and Mickey trying to do what they can to push back the siege from FPX, but they are faltering and falling behind.
20 CS and at least a share in 10 plates at 11 minutes in the game.
All right, we're 11 minutes, 25 seconds on the clock. The latest first blood of the World Championship clocks in at 15:52. We're a few minutes away from that record, and G2 will want to secure it because they need some bonus gold back. They need to get themselves back into this game before it runs away. They're falling behind.
Yeah, there you can say that again. They've lost so much territory, Quickshot. FPX are actually setting up for a possible pre-turret plate fall, all outer turrets taken for themselves. You see the rotation now mid. Because those are the standing turret plates left, LWX and Chris immediately there with Doinby. They push as hard as they can.
Oh, here comes Yankos. Cataclysm is available to him. Tian is going to be securing the second dragon of the game. G2 Esports are being pushed further and further behind. No team in the history of League has been able to complete the Grand Slam. G2 are not looking likely of being the first one able. RNG faltered, SKT faltered, and right now, 12 minutes, you have to feel that G2 is going to falter, and at the final hurdle.
Exactly, quick shot. It's just so obnoxious to play against this FPX comp from ahead. They could use the Gimgoon ult to stop Ezreal from getting more turret plates on the top side. Galio teleports in there. Thing about a Veigar for Caps is doesn't force anything in the early game. They haven't been able to play through it. Doinby just wants to wave clear, buy time for the plates to go down.
All right, just a reminder, the latest first blood, small correction from earlier, 15 minutes, 22 seconds, 2.5 minutes away from it. At 13 in the game, Caps TPs to the top lane. Realm Warp is now coming in behind the tower, and Wonder will not be able to find any follow-up. He is currently the pressure point for G2. Plus 40 CS in the top lane, Kobe, and as it stands, He needs to find a way to bring G2 back into this game.
And look how much power FPX are bringing to the map. That was literally just Chris roaming up with the Moby boots on Thresh, forcing out 2 big cooldowns from G2. They had to make 2 rotations, teleport from mid, as well as the Realm Warp coming through, just to stay even in the map state.
G2 can get exclusive vision on an area, then suddenly the Nautilus Veigar will have a lot of zone control, but so behind in map control that it's more about pick wards. For Crisp to try to get an initiation, Thresh has been unleashed on the map, and that's why you just have so much ability as LWX to push up and even greed for a turret plate just as the turret plates fall.
Look at Doin B. He's going to get caught out there by the dredge line of Mickey, so that's an initiation or a tower dive that is somewhat thwarted. Just over a minute away from breaking the record for the Lotus first blood. True Shot Barrage comes out. LWX gets tagged. The death sentence pulls back Mickey. He escapes with his life for now. First blood to the first blood king from Europe. But what more can they get? Wonder continues to chase. Remember, the Realm Warp is on cooldown. Mystic Shark will not find a target as the Arcane Shift sends Perks over the wall. G2 get one back.
And Caps is able to make the pick. The Glacial Augment slowing them down long enough for G2 to get some money in the bank.
FPX weren't in position to use their globals that time. Gimgoon's ult just about to come off cooldown. You're right, the slowing field is what leads to hesitation for once, and LWX being chunked means that he takes the safest route and doesn't put out damage.
Then follows it up with the stun on the Veigar cage, getting the kill. Galio ultimate also used, so when we get back to live, you have to count your cooldowns.
After that kill, Paris is ignited. 11 plates to 2. I am a little bit more of a pessimist in real life and don't yet share the hope that is felt by the Parisian crowd. G2 Esports have 2 minutes until the next Infernal. And that 1,500 gold lead does feel less bad the longer we go into this game. That dirty S word that you were talking about,
Scaling.
Papa Smithy, of scaling, it can come to help G2 if they stay this close.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot of help, though, Quickshot, because LWX is window shopping right now, and he's eyeing that Infinity Edge, and he is very close. One more paycheck, one more recall, he gets Infinity Edge, and then because LWX has gotten so much money funneled into him, he can even afford an early QSS.
And it's worth mentioning that G2's comp doesn't chase very well. Veigar wants people coming to him. His range on his event horizon is relatively short. So with the fact that they're behind, smack down the control wards and you're probably fine as FPX for quite a while in this game.
And so important to note the tools that LWX can use with that ultimate, with that flash to get away some of the key initiation. The Dark Matter gets thrown down into the river. So 1 minute until Dragon, you can already feel FPX cheating towards that bottom half of the map. They're pushing their vision forward. Kobe and G2, do you think they try to contest this next one? They've conceded the last few.
I would actually expect G2 to attack the opposite side of the map and get the Rise into top lane to get that last outer turret solo gold. If you can get Wonder more fed, Papa Smithy's talking about, the power and side lane Rise later in the game in splitting the map. Yes, you have to deal with Gangplank and Galio ultimates, but you have to play off of your strengths.
Now, you reach a point in this game where both Galio and Gangplank will be exposed by the champions in the solo lanes of G2. So that's what you want to get to as fast as possible. But these moments where you're setting up around the Drake do at least not cede advantages to FPX.
10 seconds until Drake. LWX has not gone shopping. He does not have teleport available. So that Infinity Edge and QSS you were talking about, Kobe, is not yet activated. Hero's Entrance is available for Doinby. Cannon Barrage is available for Gimgoon. And Gimgoon is coming from base. There is a lot of damage from that Dark Matter coming down. Infernal
burn it
down to 2,000 HP. Here comes Tian. We're into a smite fight. It's secured by Yankos, but Doinby gets the kill. Now all of a sudden Tian's running for his life. The Realm Warp from Wonder might deliver Mickey to safety, and they get out. They trade one for Infernal.
Hashtag worth for the side of G2. They take an Infernal under the nose of FPX, and they get a decent reset to mid lane as well.
Ooh, the world was holding its breath on that one, Papa Smithy. As Yankos gets kicked out of the pit, he's able to land the smite, and even though he goes down, G2 will take that because of the scaling that they're trying to lean on. in the end, though. FPX are able to clean another G2 member off the map.
And these are the windows we alluded to, the no IE being done. LWX late to the picture here. You see the new age combo, you have to flash before you taunt now as the Galio. So it looks a bit different, they don't get the full CC direction, and the fadeaway smite works from the grave for Jankos.
I did more than hold my breath, Kobe. I clenched as well, but Jankos gets the secure. And G2 are still 2,000 gold down. The only kill accrued is with Jankos. And Perks now finds himself in a challenge up top while Jankos is able to get helped out, and Caps finds a kill onto Crisp. Perks has got flash available to him. Teleports straight in. The barrel comes down. Hero's entrance lands on the Gimgoon. Wonder finishes the teleport, but that's going to be a taunt. It's flashed away from. Wonder stays alive, keeps alive, gets away. Tian's now the target. Gets tagged and slowed, and Red Buff does its work. It's a trade of 1-for-1, but teleports were committed, and G2 are now on the offensive.
Remain on the attack, Trevor. They're still looking to create plays, and after this, they're able to force them back. It looks like they're going to roam into the river and go towards mid rather than trying to push down this turret.
2 games ago, Papa Smithy, you called it. G2 will not go quietly into the French night. They continue to find opportunities to fight, and they want to extend this series.
And when we get the replay, you see one of the shortcomings of FPX is that they look at what resources they have and say, we could get a kill here. They don't always respect enemy TP timings, and they were just outnumbered on the play.
And highlighting the G2 composition again, and the Veigar pick. Well, let's take a look at what happened after the initial pick. It is FPX trying to force a counterattack, but you know that G2 have the extra champion advantage, so there's a time limit on this FPX play. And because Wonder delays that long, it means there's a counter kill for G2, and in the end they go 2-for-1. FPX starting up the Baron though.
You've got to be kidding, you've got to be kidding. The Baron has already been started. 20 minutes and 10 seconds. They've already set a record. Jankos escapes a hook, but he gets caught by a barrel. Crisp is locked down, but none of the damage follows. That was fired too early. G2 have been able to thwart the Baron play, and that will be enough for now.
They want the enemy to come to them. Like we mentioned, that's where G2 might be weaker, but they don't actually register the death sentence. They have to use a stopwatch. FPX fishing. This time, nothing's by.
All right, G2 need to get their game plan online here, push the side wave with Wonder on the rise, and then you look to use the Veigar pick potential that they drafted for, right? This is the pick that is supposed to be the surprise twist at the end. With that and a Nautilus, you have a lot of potential of trying to pick off those members. Again, Crisp is always the target.
And you see the vision here? This is exactly what you want, because remember that Event Horizon is an entire choke that you can't contest the Baron from. So getting Baron vision when they feel strong enough and then forcing FPX to check, that's exactly how G2 find a Baron.
Meanwhile, looking from FPX's side, the Infinity Edge was completed by LWX, and they have the possibilities of this Galio ultimate to answer. So it's much more about the counterplay rather than setting up an offensive look.
You can see Caps right now stepping forward, throws out the spooky ghost. The dark matter comes down as well, but he held on to the primordial boost. Jankos has locked down Doinb inside the Cataclysm. He now is the target. That's a body block from Wonder. Steps in front of the Justice Punch, but the death sentence is amazing. Mickey is caught. Crisp. That was fresh and clean, but G2 aren't done yet. They're putting pressure into the tower. The Event Horizon blocks down some, but they kick back under the tower. Tian gets blown up, but he secures a kill into Wonder. It's not done yet as Gimgoon is now stepping forward. Cannon Barrage will come up and available in just a moment. The Super Soaker is thrown out by Caps, but there's no follow-up damage. Gimgoon is being zoned away by Jankos.
These pushes are being played around the cooldown of the Event Horizon from Veigar. You can see the only opportunity for FPX to counterattack is after that is used in mid. In the end, G2 are able to force another tower kill for themselves. Here's the first one. They pick out LWX and then switch focus over to Doinb. Jankos also able to interrupt here, and even though he goes through, it's actually a hook from Crisp, pulling Mickey under the tower and forcing this opportunity.
Each of these fights played on the finest of margins. So close to this flank here, and even the flanking barrels from Gimgoon making a difference.
That replay brought to you by Axe Gaming. What's your move? G2 keeping themselves in it. The Drake, I think, being completed there by Perks. True Shot Barrage is on cooldown, but the Dragon is secured. 5 members of FPX are in the pit. Teleporters coming down. Baron is a available for the taking, and it will be secured by Tian and FPX, but at what cost? The Winds of War come out, and as the feathers fly, they're pulled backwards. That lands a route onto Mickey. Hero's entrance is the escape route for Doing B. They get Baron, they get out. That was beautiful.
Look at the coordination on that call. They preemptively talk about, I'm laying the lantern here, go into the pit to then ultimate out, and they make sure every member of FPX leaves wearing purple.
I love the geometry kind of plays they do about attacking every angle, opening up space, leaving the Galio as the tasty treat to ult out. There was just no way to punish for G2.
You can literally see the communication and the forethought from FPX as the game is playing out here. And now, what will they do with the Baron buff? Mid lane has an outer turret left standing. They can just try and send Galio here, who is waiting on ultimate cooldown to be able to clean up the AoE.
And I was trying to say a moment or two ago that, Papa Smithy, you talked about how G2 don't really chase particularly well. They're hoping that GLP and the Spooky Ghosts will do something. But now, fortunately, FPX have to come to them with Baron and Part Minions with the ability to siege and to push forward. Maybe G2 can find opportunities. Gimgoon is waiting in the wings.
FPX have to seed, and they have to give respect to this push because they don't have the Galio ultimate yet. It's a few more seconds left on cooldown, and they don't have the positioning.
Running through mid lane really gets nothing. You cannot get through what is kind of a freeze scenario with Veigar having Event Horizon every minion wave and just having a super low range comp again. That's been FPX's story the entire time. They never play range top laners. It's been mostly melee mid laners. So because of that, they're gonna fight. They have to play 3 lanes to really get Baron value.
And thank you to the observers for highlighting the vision difference there. G2 Esports just trying to cover the mid lane river entrances, and they don't have particularly deep vision. While they were just waiting in the wings, Doinby is able to push all the way to top inner, get a lot of damage down, and while G2 are responding, it'll open up the ability in the mid lane for FPX to push.
That timing window we talked about, Quickshot, is almost up. FPX trying to collapse here now. G2, will they get him?
All right, now look at the minimap at what cost. Doinby gets the kill onto Caps, and the teleports now come in. This could be it for G2. LWX goes forward. He won't find the kill into Yankos, but there is a potential reply.
Oh!
Time doesn't do anything. Perkz stays alive. It's a fight on multiple fronts. Now Perkz is in trouble. He's got no flash. He's got low mana, and he can't find anything. Tian takes him down. FunPlus Phoenix, accelerating ahead. Nearly 5,000 gold.
Observers once again show the true genius of the FPX plan.
Sentenced to death. Wonder, Chris, Flash, Hughes, and FPX, they want to lift the cup.
Behind enemy lines, the pitch there were obscene. Tian kicking the Veigar to his death. Meant no delays. They're going to break the base on this Baron.
Inhibitors going to fall. Mickey and Caps, they have respawned. G2 Esports down 5,500 gold. The hope of Europe, the hope of the Grand Slam, and it is fleeting and flying away as FPX are crushing them.
There's nothing proverbial about that dagger through the heart. It was clear. Watch the replay. Tian has been behind enemy lines for so long as G2 come to try to kill the Galio, and once again the communication is real. He finds his man. Doesn't matter that he misses the kick. It's an alley-oop to Doinby.
Yeah, I was skeptical they would have enough damage to finish it off since the Sonic Wave doesn't hit, but Doinby just dunks him there. And then you can see the plan come to fruition for FPX. And this is what we are talking about. They pull together the collapse. Tian actually able to safeguard away from Mickey's hook, and then Perkz is left by himself, isolated, where they thought that G2 were the ones springing the trap.
The G2 story all year was no man left behind, styling as a 5-man group, but it's been FPX in this best of 5 who have been more on point in moments like that. Very equal damage share coming through, as you were kind of talking about there, Kobe. They don't really have a massive damage dealer when Zaya's been zoned pretty frequently. Here we go.
All right, there's the engage. Event Horizon and Cataclysm. Perkz escapes over the wall, but Mickey's the sacrificial lamb. Doinby goes down. It's Perkz that gets the kill. Now Gimgoon's going low. True Shot Rush flies across, but G2 Esports are buying time. Keep your eyes on the minimap. Super's pouring in the base.
That kill just earned them survival in this series. Quick shot. G2 fight to live another day. They get a critical pick when there are very little windows to go for, and they're able to take down Doinby. That means they're able to reset off these super minions. What can they actually complete, though?
We'll lose the Mountain Drake, but take your point, Kobe. If that fight goes another 25 seconds, suddenly they're losing an inhibitor turret to the Winians in the top side. You got to pick your battles, you got to get the most you can, and just living, just hanging on in this best of 5 was honestly the most G2 could hope for.
Yeah, and what can they complete? Not that much, right? You know that FPX are going to reset, and they're going to come knocking once again. This time, with super minions flooding in topside again, with the weakened Nexus turrets as well, you can't let that go on for very long. Baron will be spawning in 38 seconds. Let's see about the transition of wards into the next teamfight area.
We should mention, this is probably the strongest point in the game for FPX. Relatively, it feels like every other 1,000 gold to G2 with their scaling is going to put them more and more into a scenario where they can fight. So they may be down 5,000 gold, but every 1,000 gold from here is better spent by G2 compared to FPX.
All right, this is the opportunity that G2 bought with that pick. They're trying to make a play in the fog of war. They have to hope for some member of FPX to be straggling and then take surprise once again. But that Scryer's Bloom gives up the whole game.
5 seconds till Baron. It is caught here on camera. Super's just about to crest the steps of the G2 base and Wonder with no teleport available. He's starting to make his way up. FunPlus haven't even hesitated. They're already on the objective.
G2 have only one controller. They have to use the Ezreal ult to check here. Baron at half health.
All right, True Shot Barrage goes out. Death Sentence lands onto Jankos. He caught out by the box and the flay. He goes in with the Cataclysm and hops right back out. The Baron is the target and it will be secured. It's LWX that does so, but it's at the cost of Chris Bly. Hero Zephyr comes in and Doomby is chasing forward. That's already a kill onto Jankos. This could be it. Now Wonder's in trouble as Caps goes golden under the hourglass. He needs to do so much more. Will throw down the event horizon, but it doesn't matter. 2 members of G2 are left to fend off 4 from FunPlus Phoenix.
FPX are headed straight for that Nexus, and it's only Wonder and Perks left standing.
FunPlus Phoenix are looking to silence the haters and stun the world with their own style of League of Legends. They are pushing onto the Nexus. The favorites of G2 in Paris did not stand a chance, and FunPlus, they've taken down the Nexus. They turn their attention to Wonder. Tian goes down. Perks kills Kimgoon. The Nexus is being focused. It's going down. And FunPlus Phoenix are your world champions.